keep it, okay, does the light need to be on? The blue light?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hi, my name is Kathleen Amerkanian. I'm an attorney practicing here in Elyria. I am launching a new law practice along with my father, who has been an attorney for the past 31 years. Our focus is going to be appellate law. Appellate law is the area of law where initially there is usually a trial. When there's a dispute between two people, it usually goes to trial. And if one party is unhappy with the result of the trial, they have the right to appeal. And a lot of times the attorneys who handled the trial need attorneys who have special expertise in appellate law in order to prosecute the appeal. That is where my father and I would come in. The name of our law firm is going to be Scanlon and Amerkanian, LLC. Scanlon is my father's last name. Amerkanian is my last name. So we're going to be a two-person, two-partner law firm to begin with. Our main audience for this website at this point would primarily be other attorneys. As I said, it's going to be the trial attorneys normally who would call upon us. So we are not necessarily targeting people, the parties who go to trial. We are more targeting members of the legal profession. So what we would like to do is have a web presence that, number one, lets people know what our background is and what our expertise is. We have a combined 30-plus years of experience in appellate law, so we do have quite a good background. We would imagine that the people coming to our website would be people that we meet in the community at bar events or just at events where members of the legal profession attend. And they would be coming to our website after meeting us just to get a general sense of our background and, of course, to find out, why they should hire us to help them with an appeal. Another aspect of the website that we would like to see is some sort of blog or running commentary of new developments in appellate law. And we think that we would like to put together an e-newsletter that we would send to our contacts or to people, just to our members of the legal profession in our community. We are hoping that would show them that we have the expertise, that we are devoted to this specialty, and that they would able to read the newsletter and be directed back to our website. So we would like to house that content, somehow connect that content to our website. Let me think if there are any other aspects that we'd like to incorporate. General background. Probably we'd also like to have a page where we have some representative cases. So that lends credibility to our contention that we have the experience and the background to successfully handle an appeal. So we would be listing cases that either my father or I have handled and perhaps have a link to an opinion released from that case. And that would show that we have the expertise. It would also establish our track record of successfully handling appeals. And I think that would that would be it as far as general background. The other aspect that we would like is we would like to be able to update the content, the e-newsletter content especially, but also the representative cases, because we will be adding to that. And so whatever we do needs to be able to be easily updatable. So I think that covers the general background. If there are any questions, I'll answer that.
Do you have any specific colors in mind? Do you have a logo? Do you have some type of brand? If you could repeat the question back.
Okay, the question is whether we have specific colors in mind, any type of logo or brand at this point. We do not have any kind of logo or brand tied to this law firm. However, my father had a website in the past that is, I believe, is still, that you can still access. It was Ohio Legal Research Associates, and we liked the look of the logo that was created for that. Now, obviously, we're not going to be Ohio Legal Research Associates, and so we need to change the name. But I did like the colors of that logo, and I liked the look of that logo, and so that would be something that we would be interested in using as sort of a template or pattern.
Could you email me that link?
Yeah. Yes, I'll email that link so that you have access to that.
As far as being able to update, you and your father yourself would like to update the content without having to call the student to continue?
Yes, and the question is, would my father and I like to be able to update content without having to call the student in to do that? And the answer is yes. We would like to update that ourselves.
So some of the content's more important to be updated than others, right?
Yes, some of the content will be more important to update. However, there are sometimes, I would think that sometimes you don't anticipate when you're going to need to update. Sometimes when we're out in the community, we may have a conversation with somebody, and that'll trigger an idea, as to how to better market ourselves and what kind of information we would need to add.
I'd like to, you stated one goal was to show your expertise in the area of appellate law.
Yes, appellate law.
Can you identify other goals beyond that?
So the question is, can I identify other goals beyond showing our expertise in the area? Certainly, we would like to grow as a business. So we are interested in reaching as many attorneys as we can. I think that attorneys are mainly looking for other attorneys who are competent and who can handle an appeal without exorbitant cost. So we would like to convey that we are reasonable and approachable, and yet we don't want to cheapen ourselves by coming out and saying we'll undercut, we'll give you the lowest price. The concern, our concern, and I think it's a common concern among attorneys, is if you set your rate too low or if you market yourselves as the cheapest attorney around, that subconsciously people will not necessarily think that they'll think that you're not any good, and that's why you're so affordable. So if there's a way just to, I think that'll probably come in the copy as far as conveying that we're reasonable and approachable, and certainly we will work with people, and yet we want to maintain, the fact that we do have high standards. Yes?
When you said appellate law, is it criminal, domestic, what type of law?
That's a good question. The question is, with appellate law, does that encompass criminal and domestic relations, and what types of controversies or what types of law are we talking about? Our expertise is mainly in the civil side. So the two broad categories of law are civil and criminal. And yet civil, you identified one of the subcategories of civil, which would be domestic relations. We might want to go into some of those aspects, such as domestic relations, employment law, contract disputes. I think that's a good point, that we're going to need to be more specific. And so our expertise is in the civil side, and our experience has covered a broad spectrum. So real estate law, domestic relations, child custody, product liability. Those are some of the subcategories. We would also like to grow the criminal side as well. So really, we're going to be trying to grow as a business on both sides.
Now, would you want this website to, even though you're starting out the expertise in civil, and you're going to move into other avenues of law, would you like that to be displayed on the website, or is the civil the first and foremost important, and then as you grow and move on, you're going to incorporate the other avenues of law?
Yes, that's a good question too, is what our emphasis is going to be to begin with, whether we want to display civil and criminal, or if we want to focus on the civil and then grow, move toward the civil or criminal as we grow. And I would say yes, that the main emphasis is civil, and as we grow and we get more experience in the criminal area, then we may change things around, but for now, the civil is our primary emphasis.
Getting back to goals, it seems like, from what I'm hearing, and you tell me if this is correct or if there's any additions or subtractions, that if we're going to summarize your goals, I would say one goal would be to identify or describe the scope of your practice, what your areas of specialties are. A second goal would be to demonstrate expertise in those categories. And a third would relate to growing the business, and growing the business by showing that possibly you have an openness for other areas, and again, that you are approachable and affordable and that sort of thing. Is that an accurate statement of what, say, your three major goals would be? Yes.
And I'm sorry, I remember the third, but what was the first two? How did
the first one was simply to describe the scope of your practice.
Yes.
The second would be to demonstrate expertise in those areas, and then the third would be to try to grow the business.
Okay, yes, and to repeat then, the three goals, I would agree, are 1, describe the scope of the practice, 2, demonstrate expertise in the area, and third is to grow the business and show that we're approachable, affordable, reasonable, and maintain high standards.
You've mentioned that one group of people that is your audience would be attorneys looking for a lawyer to handle an appeal. Can you think of other groups of folks that might be visiting your site?
So one group of people visiting the site would be other attorneys who want somebody to handle their appeal. We may also get some traffic from organizations, special interest groups, nonprofits who could be interested in having somebody write an amicus brief, and I will describe what an amicus brief is. There are some times that an issue on appeal has such broad implications that there may be a special interest group out there that wants to join forces with one party or the other. They want to come in and say, appeals court, please don't change the law. It'll negatively impact us, and this is why the law is as it should be. Or they may take the opposite approach. There may be a group coming in saying, appellate court, please change the law in this area. So they would also, some of those, the larger groups are going to have their own in-house counsel or already have established relationships with other law firms. However, that may be another avenue that we would want to make sure that, we would look favorably to those people as well.
Other groups down that, or is that pretty much your argument?
Well, the third, I think, I wouldn't say that we don't want people off the street looking at our website. I think that we still want people to come to us and independently, parties who have been involved in a dispute, a trial, or a hearing, and they want to appeal. So, businesses, individual clients, and sometimes they may not be happy with how their attorney has handled the trial level, or their attorney at the trial level may say, that's beyond the scope of my expertise. You need to find an appellate lawyer. So it's not that we don't want that traffic. It's just that I see that as a smaller category of people that we're targeting.
Okay. Since we're speaking of targeting the different groups of people, how about new lawyers that just left law school that are looking to apply with their law firm? Is that something you're also reaching out to?
So the question is whether we would also target new lawyers who are looking for jobs. Not so much at this point. However, as we grow, we certainly want to make sure that we look like a good place to work. I mean, our long-term plan is to eventually hire other attorneys. And even also another group in that category would be law students who are looking for research jobs. A lot of times during law school, students will look for those types of clerkships. And so that may be eventually a category of people we would be looking at.
All right. And when we're speaking of information to display on the website to visitors, do you have resources for that information, or is it like, I know you mentioned Ohio Legal Research Associates, and that speaks specifically of your father's experience or your experience as well, or is that something that's a different meeting throughout the project, throughout the building up the project that we will get from you?
Yes, so the question is, I think, where the actual copy is going to come from. And I would envision writing that myself, and I would be open to feedback in terms of, I know that sometimes lawyers can write long, and sometimes that doesn't look great on a web page. So I would be open to feedback from the student who may be able to point out that, okay, we may need to cut in this area, and so I would certainly work through that process with the student.
So what sort of copy do you see providing us that would support your goals?
I would provide copy describing the general scope of the practice. I would provide the description of my father's background, my background. I would provide the list of representative cases. I would probably like to at least get a start on the copy for the blog or e-newsletter. And of course, basic information like contact information and that sort of thing. I can't forget to do that. But that would come from me.
Now, the content that you just described, when you match that up with the goals that we've defined, do you see, does it seem to match up well, or is there something that we're missing as far as the content that we're providing or the goals that we're trying to do? So you identified some of your target audiences and their goals, and you identified your goals as an organization, then you specified the content that you're providing. Are those pretty much in alignment, or do you see any disconnect?
I think that the content that I would be providing would be pretty much in alignment with our goals, and I would certainly incorporate the in our description of the general scope of practice. I would incorporate some of the characteristics that we've discussed of our firm, and certainly, where obviously the look and feel of the website is going to fill in, I think, help us fill in the blanks in terms of conveying a professional image.
Do you see, you sketched out before a list of pages that you saw. I'm not sure if that was complete or not. Can you run down that one more time?
A list of pages that I saw for our website.
Not to say that this is like the final word or definitive or whatever, but can you run down sort of how you're envisioning it right now?
Okay. The pages that I'm envisioning and subject to refinement and expansion are the home page, which would be a general overview of our firm, a second page which would describe the particular specific backgrounds of each of the attorneys, a page with representative cases, possibly with links to external sources, a page describing recent developments in appellate law, which we would like to tie to some sort of e-newsletter or blog, and then perhaps a page with contact information and maybe even a form to fill out if somebody wants to submit some sort of inquiry. I've seen that on other lawyer websites, and that that form would be submitted, would be tied to our email address, and we would know to contact them.
Do you have more questions, Brian? No. I think you've addressed all my questions. Do you have any parting words or parting comments or advice?
Well, I think that we've covered pretty much everything in terms of our goals. I think that my primary, not concern, but my thought is to, that we are a law firm, and so we're probably going to lean more toward the traditional. However, I'd also like it to look modern. So, with that impossible standard, we certainly don't want it to look like it's a website that hasn't been touched in years. We want to make sure, I think that we want to convey that it's a website that we care about our image, and that we care that we provide our audience with the information they need.
How soon will you be able to provide the information that you would like us to display on the webpage?
The copy, how soon would I be able to give you the copy?
Yes, such as that you would like to be linked to, and all the information that you said you will.
I would be able to provide the basic copy this week. I think end of day Thursday would be my goal. The other copy for the e-newsletter or blog, I think my goal would be the following Tuesday.
And just so everyone will have it, will you be able to spell the two partners that's going to be in the law firm?
Yes. Scanlon is S-C-A-N as in Nancy, L-O-N as in Nancy. Amerkanian is A-M as in Mary, E-R-K-H-A-N as in Nancy, I-A-N as in Nancy. And we are required by law to have that comma, LLC, all caps, in our firm name. And I prefer the ampersand for the A, just a personal preference. For the and, I mean.
Okay. I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you.